Okay. Just waiting for a few of y'all to get in here. Let me know if my sound is all right, y'all. Let me know if y'all can hear me good. Peace. Good, 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 good. Glad y'all had a moment to stop and tune in. So, before I share the news, it's important that I kind of give those of you some backstory into in regards to the Atlantis School and how it ultimately came to be. I'm not going to take long or anything, but it's important that those of you who have been watching the things that I'm doing can get a greater insight into the why or the reasoning behind what it is that I'm doing. For years, I've been working in spaces with youth as well as doing community organizing. And for the most part, I've created various different projects, programs, and initiatives, and I've been able to successfully implement those projects, programs, and initiatives in various different spaces, whether that was working through a non-for-profit organization, working in partnership with a non-for-profit organization, just simply doing it myself out of space such as a public library or other public spaces. And I've been able to do that not only here in the area where I live at, but I've also done projects that have been national and international projects as well. Yet I've never had the opportunity to really centralize all of those projects, programs, and initiatives under one umbrella. At one point, I began to centralize these projects, programs, and initiatives under the concept of Atlantis because I essentially renamed this area where I reside, Niagara Falls, as the lost city of Atlantis. I actually wrote like a legend and an entire mythos about Niagara Falls being the city of Atlantis many years ago. One day I might publish it. But for years, especially since I got knowledge of self and came back to this area, I reclaimed this land and renamed it Atlantis, the city of water. So all of my projects, programs, and initiatives for well over 2 decades have always been connected to that concept of this being the place of the lost city. And over the years, I eventually developed an idea of eventually creating a brick and mortar institution to be able to centralize all of these projects, programs, and initiatives. And through that idea was birthed the Atlantis School for Gifted Youngsters. Those of you who are familiar with the X-Men, you're familiar with Xavier School for gifted youngsters, and I admired the idea of how Xavier created this frontistery. Now, a frontistery is a place of study. It's a place of learning. It's an educational institution. And that's essentially what I've created, a frontistery. And what Xavier would do is he created this space where elder mutants that he was able to connect with sought out younger mutants to help them grow, develop, and learn how to control their powers. So he created this institution that specifically targeted a demographic of gifted youngsters, or AKA mutants, and taught them how to develop those abilities and to ultimately live a purposeful life. But what was key to the operation of this institution was the skill set, the experience, and the intelligence of the elder mutants. So Professor Xavier created this beautiful network of other gifted people to identify and to bring in younger gifted people. That has always been the determined idea and the basis of the Atlantis School as well. That this was an institution that was communal or cooperative in a sense, where sure, I could share my experience and my expertise, yet at the same time, I have a, a wide network. Many of you are in the chat right now, a wide network of various different people that live in places all around the world with various different skill sets and various different experiences. And I figured out a way, how can I create this type of space and build it with that sense of sustainability so that the people in my network also have access to being able to share their skill sets with younger people. And that is the route that I actually took. My most recent live that I did, I spoke about how now my school is officially registered or licensed to open. So I could actually accept students into my school tomorrow if I would like to, but I'm still in the process of getting some things organized so that, when students are able to be registered and to attend this school, that I have everything in order and everything set in place. And this leads me to why I wanted to come on this evening and just share a big announcement with the school and where I'm at in the process right now. People who are very close to me, I shared elements of this vision some time ago. And there are people that actually already have keys to this institution. One of the things, and people thought that I was joking about it when I said that, is I'm going to do this almost like Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory, where I'm going to get a certain number of gold keys created, and people are going to have an opportunity to have a residency here at the Atlantis School. And that's actually where I'm at in the process right now. So to get to my announcement, tonight, I'm going to make available a Google document that people can fill out in order to submit their names and qualifications and experiences and other different requirements in order for them to apply for residency here at the Atlantis School for Gifted Youngsters. Now, what does that residency look like? Each year, a certain number of people will be given the opportunity to visit the city of Niagara Falls biannually, which means, to put it in more of a practical sense, um, if you were a person and you were interested in sharing your experiences or skill set with students in my program, for example, I have a brother named Justice who I spoke to recently who lives in the South, and Justice and his queen are skateboarders. And I already spoke to them about being able to come and visit the city of Niagara Falls and them being able to offer their experience and expertise to youth in my city because there's no skateboarding programs or workshops that are going on. And to see people in that space who are people of color who have this experience and expertise, I think that will be something beautiful to be able to offer to school age children here in our city. Um, that is just one example. One of my other brothers is a boxer. So I have him right at this moment sending me the specific type of equipment that we would need in order to share combative art lessons with students as well. So he's going to be able to come in and teach them boxing skills. You don't really see a lot of programs that are offering that as well. I have a sister who is an herbologist. She's interested in coming and sharing her experience and expertise in being able to identify edible plants and herbs within our natural environment and people being able to utilize those particular skill sets. You don't see programs or schools that are actually teaching herbology to young children. Some of these things, such as herbology, being able to navigate the landscape and things along those lines are stuff that I taught pre-K students in the past. But now that I have my own institution and site, I can even be more intentional and in depth with a lot of those various different ideas that I have in terms of exposing our children to some of these life skills that are necessary. Ramon, absolutely, definitely. So Ramon in the chat, he said, do you need anyone to teach martial arts? So part of that would be, because that is your area of expertise and you're the Lord of that world, you would have to tell me about the various different type of equipment that would be necessary to teach school age children. If they're children who are 5 years old, what type of equipment would children that age need in order to learn a specific type of martial arts that you would like to teach? So I'm going to be sharing a Google Doc. I might do it in the chat, but it's also going to be posted on my page and on my social media. So all of you could apply for being a part of my first cohort or my first year of residency. So this is what you'll get. And I have a board, which is composed of my 2 eldest daughters and a few other people. We're going to look over the different submissions, and the board is going to actually select our first cohort of residency members for the first year, which is 2023, or in Asiatic Calendar, 15,107. And this is the way that it works. The people who will be selected to be in the first cohort of residencies at this school for the first year biannually, if you're from a different state or a different country, I've created an opportunity for people to visit the city of Niagara Falls biannually. So in other words, you have an opportunity to come and visit the city at least twice within a calendar year. And in coming to visit this city twice in a calendar year, I will cover all of your lodging accommodations. So I have another location where you'll be able to stay at for 3 days. I will cover that. Whatever your food expenses are or dietary expenses, I will be able to cover that as well. and I will be able to give you an honorarium or a stipend for the time that you invest in terms of sharing a workshop or a class for our students. So basically what it would look like is say you're selected to be in the first cohort of the first year of a residency at the Atlantis School. If you accept that opportunity, then you would have to give me what your calendar looks like throughout the course of the year. So you may tell me like, hey, I'm interested in coming visiting the city of Niagara Falls in May. So you would have to give me the dates that you're striving to come here. And what I'm going to do is to be able to put those dates on a calendar in terms of a workshop or a class that you would be willing to offer. So you would have to give me some background information on what it is that you would like to share with the youth here in the city. Again, you would have to make sure you take care of your transportation here. But in terms of lodge and accommodations, you will not have to pay for anything. You will not have to pay for any food or anything like that. I make sure that I will cover you for 3 days of being here in my city. And then on one of those days, minimally, I would just request that you provide a class or a workshop for youth while you're here in the city. So essentially, not only will you have the opportunity to come and visit the city of Niagara Falls, and you'll be able to get a tour of our city as well. You will also be able to share your gifts with students that are here in my city, as well as support local businesses, because a part of the lodge and accommodations are going to also be connected to local businesses here. So some of the meals that I will be able to provide for you will come directly from our local businesses. So that is a part of the idea of the residency program. It doesn't cost you a dime. All you have to do is to fill out the Google document that I'm going to share later on. And you can't. Ain't no 3-day fast. So all you have to do is just fill out the Google document. There are certain requirements. One of those requirements is definitely you're going to have to submit a criminal background check. That's definitely one of the requirements. And it's not for the purpose of disqualifying anybody or anything, but it's for the purpose of transparency. You know, a lot of times people have this concept and this idea about, oh, we teach the babies. The babies is the greatest. We teach this and that and the third. But it's like you don't even know what this person's background is. You don't know what they do or don't do professionally. You know, there's no standard of evaluating people that are coming amongst children. I'm not doing that with this school. So people are going to have to submit a basic criminal background check along with their credentials and experiences and certifications. And it doesn't mean like you got to have some damn doctorate degree or something like that. No, you may be a basket weaver. And if that's a skill set that the board thinks that children should learn, come here and visit my beautiful city. You won't have to pay for anything while you're here, and I will pay you to teach basket weaving to the students that attend this school. There is no bad part about that. That's so I want to model this so that others in other places can see how education can work in a non-traditional way. You know, one of the and I would say over the last decade, one of the biggest compliments that I've received is people reaching out to me and telling me how much they value my time and they wanted to, just talk to me for a certain amount of time about like community organizing, or someone else is asking me about youth advocacy. And they didn't just expect me to just do it. They said right up front, um, how much would you, how much could I pay you? Because I know that you can't really pay someone for their time, but they offered that up front. How much could I pay you for a 15-minute conversation? Because there's some questions that I wanted to ask you related to community outreach or youth advocacy. Um, and I'm like, wow, that's I'm honored that someone respects my time like that, you know. And I think in the same regards, you know, the people that we would like to be a part of our residency program, we respect your time. And if you've never been here to our beautiful city of Niagara Falls, you have an opportunity to come here, not only to come and enjoy yourself, and you could bring your family too. I will be able to cover the expenses for your family staying here for the 3 days that you're here in the city. Um, but if you come here and visit, you know, I think it's also important that you have an opportunity to share your gifts with the students that could benefit from you being here. And I'm going to pay you for that as well, or give you an honorarium. That's the fancy way to say it. I'll give you an honorarium for your time of being here. So I'm going to put that Google document out on my social media following the conclusion of this live broadcast. And submissions are going to close on December 31st. Yeah, I'm going to close submissions at the end of the year, so that my team can go over all of the submissions moving into 2023, 15,107 in the Asiatic calendar. So people can go through those. And then we'll start putting together, like, you know, our acceptance letters, and, you know, letting people know like who's going to be a part of the first cohort. And like I said, this residency is good for, it's biannual. So it will be good for 2 opportunities to come and stay in my city. You know, and that's important. I can't wait till Pluto leaves Capricorn in May 23rd. How many will be in the cohort? I haven't really decided yet. 9 is always a good number in terms of you know, just the symbolism in the science of being born. Um, 9 would be a good number. And and like I said, it will allow me to build a calendar around the network of all of you who are a part of my life, and that I'm also a part of your life. So if there's like 9 people, then that is minimally, if each person commits to visiting the city at least twice in a year, or if they just committed to visiting the city just at least once a year and coming here, that's 9 workshops or opportunities of various different skill sets and experiences that students in my city will have an opportunity to learn from. If there's a person that is a musician and um, they teach voice lessons, that's a free vacation to come to the city of Niagara Falls, where it's all expenses paid. And you just have to commit yourself to teaching voice lessons on one of the days that you visit in here. And I'm going to pay you to do it. Yup, Maritza. Yup. So in terms of teaching other languages, you would just have to figure out what would that look like in terms of exposure to that language in the time period that you're going to be here, because I know that it takes a time period and consistency to actually learn a language. But just in terms of exposure, you know, you could think outside of the box as well. It can be teaching language coupled with other activities, while you're visiting here. So there's a variety of different. This is very non-traditional what I'm doing, y'all. Now, I've thought about this very deeply for quite some time, and being in partnership or experiencing public or private or charter school settings, I always realized how certain life skills and experiences that I was always exposed to or that I sought out to learn were not really accessible in these type of settings. I didn't experience I had to learn gardening from my father because he did it. So I learned it watching him and experiencing it. That was just at home. I didn't go to school and learn no gardening. Nowadays they may have like garden bed programs and they may be introducing children to that nowadays. But typically you may not see children having access to those type of opportunities. Definitely not learning about herbology and identifying the various different plant life in their environment. The goal is to really inspire not only children, but to encourage all of you to see this as an opportunity to share your gifts that you may not necessarily have an opportunity to share. My brother Infinite right here, he's an artist. I would love for Infinite to come to Niagara Falls and not only to just visit and to see the beauty of our city, but also to be able to share his gifts while he's there. That's what this is about. And in order to really foster the growth and development of our infinite potential, our children need to access various different things that are in them that under other circumstances they may not access because they don't have anyone really around them to spark that interest. So my will and ultimate goal is to model non-traditional institutions like this that others will be willing to create in other spaces and in other places, so that collective sense of ownership and that sense of global community becomes virtually the village that is necessary to grow and develop our children. So is it around specific skill set or a combination of skills and life experiences? It could be that too. So it's not anything that is just in a box. Like I said, your skill set may be basket weaving. How many children have access to someone teaching them how to weave a basket? There's not many. So it could be anything. The goal is to utilize this vast network of all of you who have various different gifts and skills to be able to pour into children that may recognize that they connect with some of those same gifts and skills that you have, because under other circumstances, they would never really be exposed to any of this. Most children go through their whole educational career and don't know anything about some of the properties of the herbs that are in their cabinet at home. All they may think is it seasons their food. And if they were outside, they would not usually be able to identify some of those same plants that grow right in their backyard. Can go their whole educational career without that knowledge. That's where some of you come in. I'm not personally going to teach all of that myself, just like with the X-Men, Professor Xavier didn't do that. He created an environment, a frontistery, a place of study, or a place where you think, that fosters the type of environment where people had those type of skill sets that they were able to help younger people develop. I'm just creating that space. I'm a DoD IT contractor. IT is probably a common taught topic, but I can bring international experiences dealing with other countries and cultures in a framework, or working with government. Or, okay, Jason, so how would you translate that to a 6-year-old? That is a very important experience you have. Yet, how does that translate to a child? What can they personally learn from that? So that's also a challenge in terms of all of you. How can you translate your skills and your experiences in a way that you can impact and reach a child? Because some of these experiences that we've had, we might have had those experiences when we were in our 20s or 30s. But by exposing young children to this at a very early age, it has the opportunity to set them on a trajectory that we may have not had the opportunity to be up on until much later on in our life. So we're setting them up for success by simply exposing them to various different things at an early age. I know people who teach yoga. When I taught pre-K, I had more of a mechanical way of teaching them yoga. So I had like videos where there was an instructor that taught children's yoga, and we would all participate in that. So instead of me doing that, I would have a person actually be present and teach yoga. So a child can have their mind exposed to their place, contrast to other cultures and people of different places that may be immigrants to the USA. Yeah. So this is an excellent exercise and exploration too, because it really requires all of you to think about your own gifts and talents. Because some things that you may just do naturally that you may not see as really valuable or anything like that, to a child, that may be one of the most valuable experiences that they would ever get in their life up to this point. But to you, it might just be like, yeah, that's just something I like to do. But a child being exposed to that same talent or gift, it may spark them to take a trajectory in life that they never even thought that they would be on, simply because of you. So this is really about creating a database of people who are gifted in any area of life and encouraging them to be able to share that with younger people. And like I keep emphasizing, I'm not expecting people to just volunteer and do this, even though you might want to volunteer. I'm committed to giving you an honorarium for you sharing your gifts with the students in this program. And to be able to cover your lodging expenses and your accommodations while you're visiting here in the city of Niagara Falls. So all of the details and specifics of that in terms of how we will work out the calendar and the the summary of the type of workshop or class that you would like to teach once you arrive here, that is something that my board will be able to work out later on. But right now, it's just all about those who are interested in being a part of this to be able to fill out the Google document that I'm going to share to, submit your qualifications for being the first cohort for the residency program for the Atlantis School. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to share tonight. I'm mad excited about it. This was a part of my vision from the start. Also, those who will be a part of this cohort, I am going to give you a key to the school. Maritza, would they be expected to submit clearances from their state and the state of New York? No, they would just have to, if they're in Georgia, they would have to get a criminal background check in Georgia and submit that. That's all. So I'm not making the process cumbersome or anything like that, but I do need to make sure that I have certain requirements, so that, people are on the up and up in terms of being a part of this program. People are also going to have to submit their social media handles, their Facebook, their Instagram, their TikTok. I'm not on TikTok like that, but my board will be able to go over and research a person's social media. And that will be a part of determining whether or not they will be accepted to be a part of the first cohort of residency here. Because again, not only are people going to be here in terms of working with and around our children, our students, but they're also going to have a key to the institution as well. They're also going to have a key to the residence where they're going to be staying while they're here in the city. So they're going to have access to that. The same way when you saw the X-Men and Xavier had his school for gifted youngsters, elder mutants just came and went as they pleased. Because that was essentially their home as well. And that's the kind of environment that I'm creating. In terms of your residency, this is your home away from home. You can come here within at least twice a year and visit for 3 days that I will provide accommodations for you, and you be able to teach a workshop or a class, and you have access. People say stuff like, oh, your home is my home. No, I'm really doing that. You're going to have keys. And like you said, Maritza, people have to be vetted, So, again, I'm going to be posting the link on my social media handles for those that would like to submit, their and fill out the form. It's going to be active until December 31st. We will be accepting submissions. And then following December 31st, we're closing submissions. And then our board is going to be examining all of the different submissions so that we can choose members who will be a part of the first cohort of having a residency here at the Atlantis School for 2023. So, do I have any other questions before I jump off here? I'm gonna tell y'all something too. When you're operating on a frequency of infinite potential or infinite intelligence, my email, yeah. When you're operating on a frequency of infinite potential and supreme intelligence, you realize in the process that not only is your form a conductor or a conduit of that consciousness, but everything that you do is really a conduit of consciousness. Are the residents also allowed to attend cohorts of are the residents also allowed to attend cohorts of other teachers? I'm trying to understand what you mean. Are the residents also allowed to attend cohorts of other teachers? What residents? Yeah, Ramon, everybody has to fill out the Google document. Are the teachers also allowed to attend cohorts of other teachers? Definitely if they're if they're in the area, yes, and if they have clearance. Resident teachers can attend other resident teachers. Okay, so so Jason, this is how it will work. Say, well, Ramon, he lives here in my city. So say Ramon lived in Mexico, and in terms of him visiting Niagara Falls, he's on the calendar from April 20th to the 23rd. If that is his time period to be here, then that is his time period, meaning he would have to determine what day. And so when I say day, minimally at least one class or workshop that he would offer for students when he's visiting here. Whatever that time period is that he's visiting here, his accommodations, and if he brings his wife or he brings his children with him, their accommodations will be taken care of for the 3 days that his family is visiting here. And because he's the one that is teaching the class or the workshop, I'm going to be giving him an honorarium or paying him to be able to teach the class or the workshop while he's visiting here, essentially on vacation. If there is another teacher who's a part of the cohort who has also a residency and they wanted to come in town or whatever, they would have to do that themselves. That specific time period is covered specifically for Ramon. But if somebody else showed up and they're a part of the cohort already and they wanted to attend, they would have to make that arrangement on their own. So yeah, that's the way that it works. So the goal ultimately is at least once a month that someone gifted an adult, will be able to visit my city. All right, Maritza, thank you. Will be able to visit my city and share their gifts with the students here. So it'll also give me an opportunity to set my calendar in advance so that parents and guardians would be able to know in advance, like, oh, wow, we have this person that's coming in that's going to be teaching skateboarding. So if that's going to be a month or 2 months away, then they already know that they can get things together in anticipation for this specific workshop or class that's going to be taught from one of the educators that's coming from out of the area. So this is ultimately a sustainable model, because I'm not just doing all of this on my own, because I don't have all of those skill sets anyway. All of you have those skill sets. So the best way to expose our students or our children to those skill sets is to be able to come to you, to be able to offer those skill sets, not for free, but yeah. Would you also consider a class for the parents of the children? That's a good idea. That's a good idea. See? Yup, definitely. See, you didn't expand it, and that's what I'm talking about. This is non-traditional and it's not in a box. That's a beautiful idea. Because our parents and guardians would appreciate that. Wow. That's dope. And because it's parents and guardians too, it could be a little more adult. You know? We could like do some catering or something like that. Or I mean, if that's something that could be incorporated into that, after, the class or something like that, we could think about that as well. But that's a beautiful idea. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like taking ownership of this, because, I'm just like, yo, I created this space and we need to utilize this. I know what our children need. I have some of the things that our children need, but all of you have other things that our children need as well. And I want to be able to create that space and respect that you'll be able to offer those various different things for our children. But yeah, parents classes, yes. Yes, that's a great idea. So in terms of when I want to get this going, springtime, I think is a great time. And then here's something too. On the Google Doc that I'm gonna put out, I have one of the questions on there. I have it divided into like quarterly, time periods of the year. What are the time periods that you will be willing to travel here? Yo, don't everybody put the summertime. We need some of y'all to come here in the wintertime too, and in the autumn time. So if you have some ideas, and it may not be something that could be outdoorsy, um, also put the wintertime. You know what I mean? Because shoot, y'all could come here too and do something. And when I say do something, I mean like, shoot, if you want to come here and go sledding, shit, put January, I think it was let me see. October, I think January to March. Shoot, say you want to teach a sledding class or something. Come here during that time and we could go sledding or something. Whatever. But these are the type of experiences that not only enriches a child's life, but it's all about exposure. You know how many children never went sledding before? We can do that, you know? But but yeah, so just consider, you don't have to think in the box. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to have no college degree or nothing like that. You know, you ain't gotta have like certain professional certifications. That's cool if that's a part of your professional background and whatever. But like I said, you could be a basket weaver. You know what I'm saying? You could be that. But whatever it is, it's a gift that our children will be able to benefit from. And like I said, you're not paying to do any of this. You just have to fill out this form, and then our board is going to overlook all of the submissions and choose the cohort for our first year of residency here at our Atlantis school. And what that residency will afford you or give you is biannually, you will be able to visit the city. I mean, you can visit the city anytime, but in terms of being connected to the Atlantis school, we will cover your lodging accommodations and pay you an honorarium to be able to teach a class or a workshop for the students at our school. And those lodging accommodations will be for 3 days while you're visiting here. So you can come and visit. If you're a part of this cohort, you can come to the city of Niagara Falls at least twice a year to stay for 3 days each. You can bring your family too. And at least one of those 3 days to be able to offer a class or workshop for the students at our school. That's all. So the only thing you got to do is get here. You ain't got to worry about buying food or where you're going to stay at or anything like that. I'm going to give you a key. And you're going to have to let me know in advance, what your allergies are or what your dietary accommodations are, so that I can make sure that I have, the appropriate food for you. In the years that I attended school, I never experienced a career day. I then checked with my younger brother and my children, and they don't either. At some point, perhaps you can have a brain surgeon, police officer, politician, etc. No doubt. True indeed. Yep. And that's really the goal. To utilize this network of all of you. I've always been practical about the use of social media. I mean, I've never been on social media just to talk shit and not to maximize its use. A lot of you I've met through social media, and I intend on making sure that those virtual relationships translate into something practical so that we could not just virtually empower and inspire and educate one another, but that we can utilize these networks to ultimately build and exchange resources. And I'm striving to show people how to do this, showing you that this ain't all just no talk. I'm literally showing you how to do this. Age range of the kids that will be a part of this experience. So they're all school age. So pre-K all the way up to 12-year-olds. So depending upon whatever skill set that you have or what you want to offer, you would determine what age group that you want to work with. So if you say like, oh, okay, I think 9 to 12-year-olds could probably benefit from what it is that I could share with them. Then that would be the type of children of that age group that you would be able to offer your workshop and your class to while you're visiting here. If you think that children between the ages of 4 and 5 would benefit from your class or your workshop, then that is the age group that I have for you when you visit here. So keep in mind that my Atlantis School is primarily early childhood development. So I'm going to have mostly preschool age children, but I'm also going to have an after school program for pre-adolescents, 9 to 12-year-olds. But I'm also connected to other programs in my area. So that is to say, if you visited here during a time period and there are 9 to 12-year-olds who attend a program that I'm connected to, then I can create the opportunity for you to be able to do your workshop or your class with that specific program, with that specific age group. So that would be essentially an in-kind donation from my program in partnership with another program. The whole goal is when people go to places for vacation, recreation and relaxation is peace, but I also wanted to create an experience for people, particularly who are visiting here to the city of Niagara Falls, to not only enjoy the landscape and the local history and to be able to patronize some of the local businesses, but also to be able to share something while they're here, to bring something, to bring your gifts. And I wanted to create it in such a way where it's equitable. When you're visiting here, that you don't have to worry about like accommodations or anything like that. You can come here and visit. And if you wanted to go over to Canada, if you wanted to do this and do all of that, you don't have to worry about where you're going to be staying at or anything like that, or if you're going to have food or the opportunity to even cook food if you wanted to do that or go to the grocery store. You shouldn't have to think about or worry about anything like that. And while you're here, share your gifts. Take a moment and work with some of the youth that are here that could benefit from you being here. And that's the kind of experience that I want to create. And I think those type of experiences in terms of a non-traditional educational model are institutions that we need in other different places as well. Could you imagine other different educational institutions being established like this in various different places? You would literally have a home away from home in many other places. Could you imagine if somebody wanted to establish something like this in Portland, Oregon, where because of your gifts and your skill set, you can come here to Atlantis or Niagara Falls. You have some place to stay. All you got to do is just share your gifts. Next, you go into Portland, Oregon. You have some place to stay. All you got to do is share your gifts. Now let's create a place in Dallas, Texas. You go to Dallas, Texas. You ain't got to worry about no place to stay or whatever. Just get there and share your gifts. That's ultimately what I would love to see. Us to be able to create these communal spaces or cooperatives of education, real education. And it's not to say that what we have learned or what our children learn today in like traditional public or private or charter school settings is not of value. I'm saying there's a lot of life skills and other different things that children also need to learn when it comes to them being able to find their purpose in life and use their infinite potential. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, man, I know too many people that got too many skills and gifts. How can I get them here? How can I get them here? For them to be able to share and them not worrying about, oh, I got to pay this, I got to pay that. Nah, no, 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 no. Get here. I got you. Matter of fact, the people that are going to be a part of the first cohort, right? That are going to be a part of the first residency, the first year. If they accept being a part of their residency for the first year, I'm going to send them a key. That's going to be confirmation. I'm going to send them a gold key. I wrote the acceptance letter. This one I'm sharing with y'all right now about this program. I wrote the acceptance letter. I have it as a document on my laptop right now. I wrote that shit a year ago. I already have this mapped out. All I got to do is make copies of gold keys. And I'm sending it to people who are going to be a part of the first residency or the first cohort. Because our children need to see y'all. You know, and there's just things that our children may not have access to in the silos or in the environment that our children are growing up in. And a lot of times we do the best that we can with the personal skill sets and experiences that we have. But we need to maximize social media, not with the gossip and people talking about this and talking about that, but I'm talking about really networking and connecting with people. And I've always been about that since I've even been on social media. How can I use this as a medium to be able to inspire, empower, and educate people? Because I'm constantly learning at the same time, but how can I do that? And this is all that it is. So this is really the next step in the development of the Atlantis School. This is really a cooperative. And I'm asking all of you, once I post the Google document, that you could input all of your information that, you know, you submit, and, you know, I'll be honored if you will be interested in being a part of all of this, you know. And it's dope too because nope, they are not. And if you don't like flying, my Atlantis School is right in the neighborhood of the Amtrak train station. You can literally ride the Amtrak here and walk to the Atlantis School. So you ain't got to fly. You could, you know, ride the Amtrak here. And your accommodations are also in the area where the Amtrak is too. So, you know, I would definitely be honored if all of you would consider submitting your qualifications and your experiences and skill sets on the Google Doc that I'm going to share. Because, you know, the success of not only this school, but just our children's education. And when I say education, I'm talking about their infinite potential. Let me see. Oh no. Hold on. Yeah, the reason I was saying that, yeah, I'm gonna do it once I get off of here. And then I'm gonna post it in the description of this video. All right. So I think I was pretty clear on what it is that I'm striving to do. Do I have any other questions before I get off of here? Mm. Any other questions? And I can't emphasize enough that being able to share your gifts and skills with our youth does not hinge upon you having a doctorate degree. That's cool. That's cool. Yet at the same time, you may have different experiences and skills that you can't really learn in college. You know, all of us have some kind of gifts and skills, and all of our children can benefit from learning from you. Okay, so if I don't have any other questions, I appreciate y'all tuning in. And like I said, once I get off of here, I'm gonna post a link so that you could check it out. And if you do have any questions, feel free to email me at atlantisbuild@gmail.com. And then I could answer any of your questions. And if you have some ideas too, like Maritza had a beautiful idea. She asked about uh, parent classes, programs. Heck yeah, definitely. So, all right, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. And once I post this, please consider submitting. How quickly is response to the email? Um, the submissions for the residency is going to be open until December 31st. So you have up until that time to just fill out the Google Doc. Um, so you will get a response after you fill that out. But in terms of the opening of the program, it's not going to take place until 2023. So, all right, y'all. I appreciate y'all for tuning in, and I'll be with y'all again soon. Thank you. Peace.